Going to Sunday, have a high of 87. There's that beautiful sun again. Low of 67, mostly cloudy, and still that thunderstorm. Monday, a high of 85, a low of 65, humid with partial sunshine. No mention of rain on Monday. 0. Tuesday, we have a high of 85, a low of 64, some sun with a thunderstorm possible, a low of 64. And Wednesday, Midvote, middle of the week, hump day, high of 84, low of 64, mostly sunny. Did you hear it? Mostly sunny. Looking at the sun and moon, sunrise today is at 6:03 a.m. Sun will be setting tonight at 8:24 p.m. Moonrise today will be at 11:03 p.m. and it will set at 8:32 a.m. Sunrise tomorrow is at 6:03 a.m. and the sunset tomorrow is at 8:24 p.m. Let's look at our moon. The last moon is on June 6th with the new moon on June 13th. First moon is June 20th with the full moon June 28th. Okay, there you are. There is your weather for today, Thursday, May 31st, 2018. This is the last day of May, ladies and gentlemen. The last day of beautiful May. From the Fayetteville Obsever.
Today's applause goes to Donald James Laney, a 1992 graduate of 71st High School, where he received the Leadership in the Arts Award on the 7th of March during the West Virginia Governor's Arts Awards ceremony. Donald James Laney currently serves as a dance instructor at the West Virginia Governor's School for the Arts. He is the son of Patricia and Donald H. Laney of Fayetteville. And now, today in history. Today is the 31st of May. It's Thursday. This is the 151st day of 2018, and there are 214 days left in this year. Today's highlight in history: on the 31st of May in 1921, a race riot erupted in Tulsa, Oklahoma, as white mobs began looting and leveling the affluent black district of Greenwood over reports a black man had assaulted a white woman in an elevator. Hundreds of people are believed to have died in that race riot. On today's date in history, in 1578, the Christian catacombs of ancient Rome were accidentally discovered by workers digging in a vineyard along the Via Salaria. And that happened in Rome. On today's date in 1669, English diarist Samuel Pepys wrote the final entry of his journal, blaming his failing eyesight for his inability to continue. And on today's date in 1790, President George Washington signed into law the first U.S. Copyright Act. And finally, on today's date in history, in 1889, some 2,200 people in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, perished when the South Fork Dam collapsed, and it sent 20 million tons of water rushing through that town of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And the birthdays for today: actor, director, and Nancy and I were just talking about this fellow the other day because we were watching an episode that I had recorded with my cable recording box, Rawhide. Actor, director Clint Eastwood, he is 88 years old today. Amazing. Singer Peter Yarrow is 80. Humanitarian Terry Waite is 79. Singer-musician Augie Myers is 78. Actress Sharon Gless is 75. For those of you that like football out there, Football Hall of Famer Broadway Joe Namath is 75 years old today. Broadcast journalist / commentator Bernard Goldberg is 73. Actor Tom Berenger is 68. Actor Gregory Harrison is 68. Actor Kyle Secor is 61. Actress Roma Mafia is 60. Comedian Chris Elliott is 58. Actress Leah Thompson is 57. Singer Corey Hart is 56. Actor Hugh Dillon is 55. Rapper DMC is 54. Actress Brooke Shield is 53. Country musician Ed Atkins of the Derailers is 51 years old today. TV host Phil Keoghan is 51. Jazz musician Christian McBride is 46. Actress Archie Panjabi is 46. Actress Merle Dandridge of the TV Greenleaf is 43. Actor Colin Farrell is 42. Rock musician Scott Klopfenstein of The Real Big Fish is 41. And wrapping it all up is actor Eric Christian Olsen. He is 41 years old today. And that wraps up the birthdays for today.
Okay, what do you need to know today on the Daybreak? Number one, we need to know they need some volunteers here. The Southeastern Health's Compassion for You Congressional Wellness Network needs volunteers to help with a free over-the-counter medicine giveaway at Chestnut Street United Methodist Church, 200 West 8th Street in Lumberton. Volunteers are going to be needed for over 2 days with varying shift options, and your duties will include unloading supplies on June 28th and distributing medicine on June 29th. Anyone interested in volunteering should go to medassist.org/volunteer and choose the Robeson event. Volunteers who are 12 to 17 years of age will need a parent or guardian present. Number two, the Appearance Commission Awards. The City-County Joint Appearance Commission is seeking nominations for this year's Appearance Awards program. The nominations must be submitted by Friday. The program recognizes properties in Cumberland County that are improving the community's appearance. There are more than a dozen award categories. For more information or to nominate a property, go to fayetteville.nc.gov/appearance commission. And number three, Run for the Legend. The Airborne and Special Operations Museum Foundation will hold its 11th annual Run for the Legend 5K on Saturday at 8 a.m. Proceeds will support the museum's operational and educational programs and activities. The course begins and ends on the Hay Street side of the museum. Online registration is available through active.com. Registration also is available at the museum. Registration is $20 and that goes through Friday. Registration is $25 the day of the race. Strollers, wagons, and well-behaved leashed dogs are permitted. Foundation also is looking for volunteers to help during the race. For more information, contact Catherine Hodge at events@asomf.org or 643-2773. Now, listeners, we want to hear from you. Please submit your events in writing at least 10 days in advance, or you may email your calendar at fayobserver.com or fax your details to 486-3545. If you have any questions, listeners, please call 486-3500. Daybreak on Thursday, May 31st.
And for your public safety today, in the thriving city of Fayetteville and throughout Cumberland County, there were several arrests made Daniel Jacob Melton, age 19, of the 800 block of Glensford Drive, and Daniel Colt Johnson, age 18, of the 1500 block of Banbury Drive, were charged Wednesday with 2 counts each of robbery with a dangerous weapon and 1 count of possessing stolen property. Bail was set for each of them at $75,000. That's for both Daniel Jacob Melton and Daniel Colt Johnson. Bobby Jr. Reddick, age 49, of the 7300 block of Ryan Street, was charged Wednesday with breaking and entering, larceny, obtaining property by false pretense, and possessing stolen property. Bobby Jr. Reddick's bail was set at $5,000. Michael McDaniel, age 60, of the 4500 block of Wellmont Drive, was charged Wednesday with violating the state sex offender registry by failing to provide a change of address within 3 days. Michael McDaniel's bail was set at $15,000. And we have some robberies here. On Purdue Drive, Joseph Christopher Walton reported at 4:52 in the morning Wednesday that he was robbed at gunpoint of a phone, of his shoes, of his t-shirt, of his bank card, and money while at a home on the 1800 block of Purdue Drive. 2 other people were involved, but nothing was taken from them. And a robbery on Rayford Road. An employee of the Sunoco gas station at 6022 Rayford Road reported at 9:20 p.m. shortly after the sun went down on Tuesday that the business was robbed at gunpoint of $380. No injuries were reported in that robbery on Rayford Road. And some break-ins here on Doc Bennett Road. Reported at 9:21 p.m. Monday that power tools and lawn equipment were taken. On West Shore Court, it was reported at 3:08 p.m. on Monday that bicycles were taken. On Bucknell Drive, it was reported at 1 p.m. on Sunday that a lawnmower was stolen. On North Street, it was reported at 7:06 a.m. that food, fidget spinners, phone charger, and ink pen were taken. However, the property on the North Street robbery reported at 7:06 a.m. everything was recovered. And finally, there are 2 vehicle break-ins. On Fire Department Road, it was reported at 3:07 p.m. That's 3:07 p.m. on Monday that a semi-automatic handgun was stolen. And in Hope Mills on Sanders Street, it was reported at 8:22 a.m. on Monday that 2 pizzas were stolen. And this wraps up your public safety information today.
All right, here, this is an interesting article by Livewire on the Observer staff. A couple of the streets are tied to the city's long history. Question, I'd like to know who our main streets were named after. For example, Bragg Boulevard was named that because it led to Fort Bragg. Who were Ramsey, Murchison, Green, Cliffdale, and Ryan named for? This question was sent in by N.A. from Linden. Answer, we asked Bruce Dawes, local historian and director of the Fayetteville Area Transportation and Local History Museum. Dawes said Murchison Road was named for the Murchison family, who were prominent in business in Fayetteville, Manchester near Spring Lake, Wilmington, and New York. The family was founded in the U.S. by Kenneth Mackenzie Murchison, who came from Scotland in 1773. So the Murchisons, John R. Kenneth Mackenzie, and David Reed, served in the Civil War.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
It's very interesting.
I did not know that. Now, Ramsey Street was named for Ambrose Ramsey, Dawes said. He was one of the people charged with laying out streets when Campbellton and Cross Creek merged to become Fayetteville in 1783. Dawes said he didn't know the origins of Green, Cliffdale, and Ryan. In current times, developers submit street names to the city planning department, which must approve them. The meaning of the street names, if any, aren't necessarily known. Now, this is by Roger Mullen, and the Live Wire seeks to answer questions of general interest and consumer topics. Initials are used to identify questioners when the names are given. Contact Livewire at livewire@fayobserver.com or call at 486-3516.
And here we have an article about the Dogwood Festival, and it reports that the Dogwood Festival had an $8.19 million impact on this city. This article was written by Paul Wolverton. The 2018 Fayetteville Dogwood Festival had an economic impact of $8.19 million on the city. Festival Executive Director Kerry King told Fayetteville City Council on Tuesday. The Dogwood Festival was held over 4 days on the final weekend of April in downtown Fayetteville. It is the largest festival held in the city of Fayetteville and has become its signature spring event. The festival staff hired the Chandler Thinks firm out of Clarksville, Tennessee, to assess the financial effects of the festival on Fayetteville. King said. That's Kerry King. She is the executive director of the festival. And here is what King said. Here are some of the findings. Bullet number 1. 70% of the visitors had been to the Dogwood Festival before. Bullet number 2. 97% of the people that attended the Dogwood Festival are planning to attend again next year. Bullet 3. Of those people who stayed overnight, 83% of those people stayed at least 2 nights, and overnight guests spent an average of $183.18. Bullet 4. The average spending by a day trip visitor, that means someone local, was $23.12 per person. The Dogwood Festival had more than 250,000 visitors across its 4 days, said Kerry King, the executive director of the Dogwood Festival. In my 12-plus year history, this is the largest crowd we have ever had. It has been the best weather that we have ever had, and hands down the biggest event that our community in Fayetteville has ever seen. Kerry King thanked the City Council and City staff for their assistance in producing and running this event. Now, if you have any questions about this article and you would like to discuss this with Paul Wolverton, you can call him up at 910-486-3512.
All right, now, for all of you parents and with children going to high school, this is about Terry Sanford, my alma mater. We have a top Terry Sanford student at odds with county schools. And this is about bullying. Have a picture of David Lee. He's a junior at Terry Sanford High School. He files his 7th complaint at Cumberland County Schools on May 24th, 2018, and he's accompanied by his father, Javenru Lee, who filed out the parent concern form. David Lee says the system has dismissed his concerns about bullying as being the lies of an exaggerating teenager. David Lee, now listen to the statistics of this young man. He is ranked number 1 in the junior class at Terry Sanford High School, and as a result will be chief marshal at the school's graduation on June 12th. In March, the 16-year-old scored 1590. That's right, 1590 out of 1600. He was only 10 points from making a perfect score. And he did 23 out of 24 on his essays. In the summer of 2017, he attended the governor's school for his skill on the violin. I first met David, and this is Myron B. Pitts talking. I first met him in early spring. He showed up in a sharp vest. He was assured and confident and has a firm handshake. He is the sort of student that schools and school systems celebrate. Instead, David has for the last year and a half been locked with Cumberland County schools in a battle that the system considers concluded, but that David sees as unresolved. Okay, so I reached out last week to Reuben and Ray's the Associate Superintendent of Human Resources, who investigated David's complaints last summer, and he said he could not respond to some of my questions. He wrote, "I have determined that thoroughly answering these questions would result in me releasing confidential information regarding our employees." He said the school board takes seriously students' allegations of harassment. Dictatorship. Xuanbu Li filed the original complaint under board policy covering discrimination, harassment, and bullying. David, then a 14-year-old sophomore, had a conflict with his orchestra teacher, John Skorich. In David's view, Skorich took issue with David's challenging him, which included David asking about the syllabus. David said he was passed over for first chair in a blind audition, the validity of which he disputes, and Skorich took other measures to block his success. He says Skorich made negative comments in front of the class about the violin playing of his older brother, a former student of Skorich who recently graduated from Duke University. So this article goes into detail about how this student felt bullied by his teacher. So columnist Myron Pitts can be reached for further details about this. It's an article in length, and you can reach Myron at mpitts@fayeobsever.com, or you can call Myron at 486-3559.
And a little news in brief here. The police are seeking help in identifying a Motel 6 armed robber. Fayetteville police are asking for help in identifying a man who robbed a motel at gunpoint on Saturday. The robbery happened at 2:24 a.m. when everybody should be asleep in bed. This guy is robbing the Motel 6. This Motel 6 is located at 2076 Cedar Creek Road, according to a police release. The man walked into the motel as if to stay in a room, the release said. In surveillance video, the man is seen rummaging through his backpack that he carried into the checkout room when the clerk began to check him in. And suddenly, he pulled out a handgun from his backpack. He pointed it at the clerk and he jumped over the counter. This man with a gun then ran away with an undisclosed amount of money. The man is believed to be in his mid-20s or early 30s and is around 6 feet tall. Anyone who can identify the suspect should call Detective S. Yunt at 910-237-9374. Or you can call the Crime Stoppers number at 910-483-5799. 8477. Then there is a suspect that is on probation, and he is accused of a 2017 rape. A Fayetteville man is accused of sexually assaulting a woman in the year 2017, according to an arrest warrant in the Cumberland County Magistrate's office. Carl Andre McGill, age 19, of the 1700 block of Tryon Drive, was charged Wednesday with second-degree forcible rape. This alleged rape happened between November 1st and November 30th, 2017. The warrant said the victim was physically helpless, but they did not elaborate on what that meant. Carl Andre McGill was given 24 months of probation in March for 2 counts of conspiracy to commit robbery with a dangerous weapon, according to the North Carolina Department of Public Safety records. The offenses happened September 17, 2016. And the bail for Carl Andre McGill, that's Carl Andre McGill, his bail was set at $75,000. And finally, Murchison Road Farmers Market is going to open Wednesday. Now I'm going to say that's going to be the first Wednesday in June, next month. The Murchison Road Community Farmers Market opens next week for its 5th season. The market will be open Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That gives you 4 hours to go shopping at the Bronco Square near Filter Plant Road, just across the street from where I am sitting at Fayetteville State University. 4 FSU Business School students started this initiative when neighborhood markets closed. Grants and support for this market have come from the Ford Motor Company, the USDA Farmers Market Promotion Program, and the City of Fayetteville and Fayetteville State University. The second Wednesday of each month, local service providers and community groups are invited to bring information on wellness and health care to this market. Blood pressure, blood sugar, and other screening are provided that day. And, this is good news, local chefs will do cooking demonstrations using the produce from the market. And Nancy, I have to say, if they're doing cooking demonstrations, they have to do something with that food. And what do you think they do with it?
Eat it.
They give it away to whoever's watching, I'm sure. And this article was written by Matt Leclerc. And this wraps up your In Brief news in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
All right, we have a Cumberland County speller. Just misses the finals. I love spelling bees. I used to do the Scripps spelling bee in my school. One North Carolinian among the final 41. Steve Devane writes this for us. For the second straight year, Kendall Wynn made it to the 3rd round of the Scripps National Spelling Bee, just narrowly missing qualifying for the final round. Kendall, a Pine Forest Middle School 8th grader, spelled words correctly on the 2nd round Tuesday and in round 3 on Wednesday, but didn't score high enough on the written portion of the competition to qualify for today's finals. She had a 24-point score, 3 points short of the qualifying mark. Last year, she also fell 3 points short of making the finals. I'm definitely disappointed, but I'm glad I got to come, Kendall said in a telephone interview a few minutes after the finalists were announced Wednesday afternoon. Kendall said she knew the words in round 2, which are given to the contestants, but she had never heard of the word she had to spell in round 3. The word slicken sides. Slicken sides is the smooth side of an earthquake fault. That was definitely interesting, Kendall said. Kendall said she is grateful to everyone who helped her out. Even though I didn't win, They were really supportive, she said. None of the other students from the Cape Fear region in the National Spelling Bee made it to the final round. That group included Anna Boone, age 14, an 8th grader at San Lee Middle School in Sanford, Helena Thompson, could be Helena, 13, an 8th grader at Highland Middle School in Sanford, and Obora Oud, age 13, a 7th grader at Harnett Central Middle School in Lillington. Eva Vega of Marvin, community just south of Charlotte, along the South Carolina border, was the only North Carolina representative to qualify to the final round, according to the Spelling Bee's website. Of the 516 competitors who started the competition, 41 qualified for the finals. Go kids, I'm proud of you. Staff writer Steve Devane can be reached at sdevane@fayobserver.com, or you can call Steve at 486-3572.
The time now is 10:33 in the morning. It's Thursday. It is the 31st of May, 2018, and I would like to remind you that this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service. It is a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or call our toll-free number at 844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy.
And we are proud to serve you today.
All right, we're going to go to Tillis. Hudson Talk Taxes, Jobs, Immigration, and Trade. Paul Wolverton, staff writer, put together this article. Continued economic growth over the next decade should more than make up for a new debt that the Trump tax cuts created, U.S. Senator Tom Tillis, U.S. Representative Richard Hudson said during a roundtable discussion at the Great Fayetteville Chamber on Wednesday afternoon. Republicans Tillis and Hudson talked about tax cuts, deregulation, trade, immigration, welfare reform, health care, the economy, and other issues as they fielded questions from a group of more than 30 local businessmen, nonprofit organization executives, and others. Some of their thoughts. Tax cuts. President Donald Trump and the Republicans in Congress cut income taxes this year. The tax reform bill cut about $1.5 trillion in revenue, Tillis said, but spending was not cut, so the tax cut is adding to the national debt. If the nation maintains just over a 2% growth in gross domestic product on average over the next 10 years, we will more than pay for the $1.5 trillion. If we get up in the 2.5% or 3% growth over 10 years, we'll actually be able to start taking a look at retiring our debt. Wow, which I consider to be one of the single greatest threats to our national security and economic security over time. All right, so that is the talks that they are having. And this again was by Paul Wolverton. And if you want to read the entire article, it is in the Fayetteville Obsever today.
And now we have some breaking news that everyone has probably been, or they have been following, and it's on the front page of the paper today. Kimors wants to hear from nearby residents. The manager of Bladen County plant says the company wants to reduce Gen X emissions, and this article was written by Steve Devane. The manager of the plant that makes Gen X says he hopes the company can rebuild the trust with the community around that facility. In his first interview with the Fayetteville Obsever since becoming manager of Chemours Fayetteville Works site on the 1st of February, Brian Long said the company will hold a town hall meeting on the 12th of June. So mark your calendars if you live in this area and are concerned. But they're going to have this meeting on the 12th of June and 7 other community engagements meetings over the next few weeks. State officials had been investigating Chemours since last year when the news broke that researchers had found Gen X in the Cape Fear River. The compound has since been found in hundreds of private wells and in lakes and swamps around the plant, which is in Bladen County, just off of North Carolina Highway 87, near the Cumberland County line. The effects of Gen X on humans is not known. In animal studies, cancer has been found. Chemours makes Gen X in one part of the Bladen County plant, but the compound also is a byproduct of other processes there. The company has agreed to stop discharging the compound into the river and is taking steps to reduce air emissions. Gen X also is known as C3-dimer acid. Long said, that's Brian Long, the manager of the Chemours plant at the Fayetteville plant, said he would have no problem drinking water from a private well near the plant. That's what Brian Long said. In terms of the general safety profile of C3-dimer acid, we have over a decade of study and scientific evidence that supports and suggests that C3-dimer acid at the concentrations that are in our environment from this plant site do not cause a safety concern for individuals who live in these areas, said Brian Long. We feel really confident about that. The State Department of Health and Human Services has set a provisional health goal of 140 parts per trillion for Gen X. The department initially set the level at 71,000 parts per trillion, but lowered it after consulting with officials from the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. Cynthia Solitsky, that's correct, Cynthia Solitsky, a Chemours spokeswoman, said the company's stance is in line with the department's initial decision. State officials believe contamination in groundwater and surface water around the plant is connected to air emissions. Brian Long said Chemours is committed to drastically reducing air emissions of Gen X even if the state significantly raises its health goal for the compound. The company is investing $100 million in an effort to cut the air emissions by 99% in less than 2 years. That commitment is going to be there whether that health limit changes or not, said Brian Long. That is a message that we haven't gotten out there that I really want the community to know about. The company announced Tuesday that it had installed equipment that when combined with the other measures is expected to immediately reduce Gen X air emissions by 40%. Mike Abrazinskas, Director of State Department of Environmental Quality Division of Air Quality, said state officials are confident that the changes will reduce the air emissions, and that is what Mike Abrazinskas said. This is a positive first step. Chemours responded to the department's 60-day notice in April that informed the company of the state's intention to modify the company's air quality permit and to the department following questions. That is what Mike Abrazinskis said. State officials are expected to make a decision about the air permit next week. We are rapidly finishing our evaluation, said Mike Abrazinskis, the Director of State Department of Environmental Quality Division of Air Quality. Brian Long said Chemours officials have worked hard to respond to the state of North Carolina. We hope for a positive outcome. Brian Long said the measures to reduce Gen X emissions are also expected to lessen the amount of similar compounds going into the air. The efforts show that Chemours is dedicated to learning how to deal with Gen X and other similar compounds known as emerging contaminants. We have a passion for safety and for sustainability, said Brian Long. We want to figure out how we can reduce our emissions, lower our environmental footprint, and be really good neighbors, said Brian Long. Chemours officials hope everyone in the community attends this town hall meeting slated for the 12th of June. The company wants to talk with local residents, he said. More than just talking, we need to be listening. Brian Long had a simple suggestion for residents who are wondering if they can trust Chemours. Watch us, said Brian Long. I think over time we are going to earn back that trust, and we are going to work really hard at it. Staff writer Steve Devane wrote this article. If you have any other questions about this article, you can call him at 910-486-3572. Now, Nancy, I read an op-ed last Sunday written by Tim White, one of the editors there at the Fayetteville Obsever, and he said there is a whole lot of stuff in the water that no one is really talking about. And I wonder why Chemours now is all of a sudden on the radar screen telling everyone that is affected by this whole thing that they are trustable when they were in West Virginia and Ohio doing the same thing. What do you think about that?
I don't want to talk about it. It's obvious that they're not doing the right thing.
Well, I'm not sure, but let's see what happens. And what have you got for us today, Nancy?
Let's talk about Alberto.
Who's Alberto?
The storm that's passed.
Hurricane Alberto?
Hurricane Alberto.
There we go.
Alberto triggers flooding in North Carolina. And we have a picture of Biltmore Avenue flooded Wednesday in Asheville after heavy rains. Jeffrey Collins from the Associated Press gave us this article. Mudslides triggered by the soggy remnants of Alberto forced evacuations below a dam early Wednesday, closed a highway in western North Carolina as the center of the storm lashed the nation's midsection hundreds of miles away. National Hurricane Center said Alberto ceased to be a subtropical storm Wednesday afternoon, but was expected to continue to bring wind and rain as it moved across the Great Lakes. The heavy rains had stopped, at least for the time being in North Carolina, but Governor Roy Cooper said several other dams could be in danger as rivers continued to rise. He sent a team of state inspectors to check on at least 4 of them. The inspections came after about 2,000 people were evacuated for several hours when emergency managers said the Lake Tahoma Dam was in danger of imminent failure early Wednesday. Heavy rain triggered landslides at the dam and along Interstate 40, which was closed near Asheville. Engineers inspected the dam. Further, in the daylight, McDowell County officials announced in a public alert just after 10 a.m. Wednesday the dam was safe and people could return home. Cooper declared a state of emergency in western North Carolina as heavy storms were forecast for much of the rest of the week, bringing a possibility of more flooding and mudslides. This storm isn't over yet. I'm urging people to keep a close eye on forecasts and flood watches and asking drivers to use caution, especially when traveling in our western counties, Cooper said in a statement. Some areas of the North Carolina mountains have received up to 20 inches of rain in the past 15 days. A North Georgia town was also dealing with flooding. Up to 7 inches of rain caused flooding in Helen, Georgia, around 10 a.m. Wednesday, the National Weather Service said. Atlanta station WAGA-TV reported several roads near the downtown area were shut because of the rising water. No injuries or structural damage had been a depression. The center of a depression that had been Alberto was about 400 miles west, near Hopkinsville, Kentucky, where high winds and heavy rains gave Sherry Key a fitful night's sleep. I have dogs and they're terribly afraid of storms, so they're on top of me all night, said Key, an airport office manager. Radar showed rain extended as far south as the Gulf Coast, where the storm came ashore at the Florida Panhandle on Monday and north to the Great Lakes region. Forecasters warned the leftovers of the Atlantic hurricane season first named storm were still capable of causing treacherous flooding or heavy precipitation spreads deeper into the nation's midsection. Flash flood watches and warnings were in effect for parts of several states from Alabama through Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, the Carolinas, and Virginia and West Virginia. In the mountains of western North Carolina, McDowell County Emergency Management Deputy Director Adrian Jones said about 200 residents spent the night in 3 shelters set up in Marion, Old Fort, and Glenwood. She said 5 minor injuries were reported during water rescues as creeks and streams overflowed their banks and rock slides closed the roads. 2 Department of Transportation workers survived a close call when their dump truck was swept away by a mudslide in McDowell County while trying to clean debris from an earlier slide. The men were able to climb from the overturned truck, stand on its side in the Catawba River until they were rescued, the governor said. Television news anchor and a photojournalist were killed Monday, North Carolina, while covering the weather, when a tree became uprooted from the rain-soaked ground and toppled onto their SUV. Authorities in Cuba say Alberto left 4 people dead there as the storm drenched the island in heavy rain. Interior Minister Julio Cesar Gondala said late Tuesday they died as a result of recklessness during the storm, gave no details. The deaths occurred as authorities worked to contain an oil spill in central Cuba's Cientos Bay that followed the flooding of nearby oil refinery. The big, messy storm caused more than 25,000 power outages in Alabama, many of which were triggered by trees rooted in soggy soil falling across utility lines. We've had a lot of rain, but we got lucky. It was a consultant rain, but not a heavy rain, said Regina Myers, Emergency Management Director in Walker County, northwest of Birmingham. Quite a storm, huh?
That's a big storm, and it's not even, well, tomorrow begins the hurricane season, 1 June to 30 November, I believe. But here we have a gunshot victim that was hospitalized, and deputies are investigating. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office is investigating an incident in which a man with a gunshot wound in the back showed up at a service station near Owen Drive and Gillespie Street late Tuesday. The deputies were called to the Exxon gas station at about 11:25 p.m., that's nighttime, ladies and gentlemen, by Fayetteville police, who initially responded to a call, said Lieutenant Sean Swain, the sheriff's office spokesman. The service station is in the city limits, which is why it was first reported to the police, said Lieutenant Sean Swain. The man, who gave his name as Michael Chavez, no age or address was given, said he was walking north on the service road that runs parallel to US 301 South near that Walmart over there, when three men approached him and asked him for a cigarette. However, Chavez said, let's see, what is his first name? Michael Chavez. However, Michael Chavez said they robbed him. So he began to run away, and then he was shot in the lower back. Michael Chavez said he flagged down a car that took him to the service station, according to Lieutenant Sean Swain. The investigators went back and traced Michael Chavez's steps, said Lieutenant Swain. They have found no blood on the service road, but they found two blood stains in front of the Relax Inn at 2526 Gillespie Street. The report indicated that the only consistent statement Michael Chavez made was that he was shot by an unknown man. Michael Chavez, who uses two other names. That's interesting, ladies and gentlemen. He was taken to the Cape Fear Valley Medical Center, Lieutenant Swain said. His condition was not known, but he remains in the hospital. If you have any information or maybe would like to speak to Nancy McCleary about this article, you can call her at 910-486-3568.
All right, now, close to home here in Stedman, a school had to be locked down as a precaution. In Stedman, an elementary school was put on lockdown Tuesday morning after a driver fled from his vehicle after it was stopped, Cumberland County Sheriff's Office said. A deputy attempted to stop a driver on NC 24 in the area between Fred Hall and Clinton Roads, said Lieutenant Sean Swain, Sheriff's Office spokesman. He did not have the time of the incident. Driver complied, pulled over to the side of the road, Swain said, but then jumped out and ran away. Because the incident was near Stedman Elementary School, it was put down school on lockdown as a precaution. Deputies set up perimeter in the area but were unable to locate the man, Swain said. No injuries were reported and no incidents happened at the school. Nancy McCleary. Well, that's good. Everything had a good ending on that one.
That's interesting, the way that kind of worked out, isn't it?
It is.
What else have you got?
I got something here of the Simpson Trio by Nancy McCleary again. 3 Sampson County men were convicted on federal drug and firearm offenses and Wednesday in Raleigh after a 7-day jury trial. Kevin McCoy, age 31, of Garland, Tony Chevalier, 31, of Turkey, and Jabbar Rahim Rudolph, 38, of Clinton, were found guilty of conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute significant quantities of controlled substances, distribution of controlled substances, and unspecified firearms charges. Investigation into the activities began in 2013. Jurors heard evidence during the trial that the 3 men operated a significant drug trafficking organization that was headed by McCoy. The organization kept contacts in southeastern United States to supply drugs that were sold mostly in eastern North Carolina, the release said. Among the drugs that 3 were convicted of dealing included methamphetamines, heroin, crack cocaine, and Molly. The drug Molly is a synthetic composed of a mix of chemicals that, when taken, mimic the effects of ecstasy, including euphoria, a rapid heartbeat, high blood pressure, and anxiety, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Evidence showed that the three had a sophisticated apparatus used to launder money from the sale of the drugs. McCoy started a trucking company in early 2016 and used it to conceal profits from the drug business, the release said. Wow, if people want to take a drug to make them have a rapid heartbeat, high blood pressure, and anxiety, why would they want to take it?
That is a question that we sometimes have to ask ourselves over and over again.
I don't understand it.
It is incredible to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when people do things like that. Because to me, it seems like, well, it's just one of those mysteries of life, isn't it, Nancy?
It is, but people make money off of giving people high heartbeats and anxiety.
Oh, yeah, they do. But I would like to say that the time now is almost 10:59 in the morning. It's the 31st of May. It's Thursday. And I would like to remind you that this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service. It is a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we do rely on public donations, and we request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, please call us at this phone number, 910-672-1600, or call the toll-free number 844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy.
And we are proud to serve you today.
All right, and we're going to begin the second hour with the obituary section of the Fayetteville Observer. Our death notices. Following deaths have been reported. Please see upcoming editions of the Fayetteville Observer for complete obituary information. In Cumberland County, Larry Edward Maid, age 66, of Fayetteville, Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. Josephine Kelly, age 75, of Fayetteville, Dafford Funeral Home. Yawari Hammond, age 70, of Fayetteville, Cape Fear Crematory. In the Cape Fear region, Sarah Elizabeth Smith Thompson, age 85, formerly of Roland, Lawrence Jackson Funeral Home. Helen Hayes Huggins, age 87, of Laurel Hill, Richard Bowles Funeral Service. And our funerals today: Colgan Francis of Fayetteville, 11 a.m. St. Patrick Catholic Church, burial at Lafayette Memorial Park, Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. Altman, age 70, of Autryville, 6 p.m. Butler Funeral Home of Stedman. In Cumberland County, Gary C. Baum, Sr., age 70, of Fayetteville, departed this life on Sunday, May 27th. Graveside service will be held on Friday, June 1st at 12 noon in the Sandhill State Veterans Cemetery. Survived by his wife, Margaret, children, Cahill, James, Preston, Tonna, sister, Judy, and grandchildren. Julius LaRosa Douglas from Fayetteville, age 61, died Wednesday, May 23rd. Funeral will be Friday at 2 p.m. McFadder Funeral Home. Viewing McFadder Funeral Home, Thursday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Burial at Hillside Memorial Park Cemetery, McFadder Funeral Home. James Gallagher from Fayetteville. James Jim Christian Gallagher, age 31, of Austin, Texas, died Saturday, May 19, 2018. A funeral mass will be held Friday, June 1st, 2018 at 1 p.m. at the All-American Chapel on Fort Bragg. Burial will be held at a later date at Arlington National Cemetery with full military honors. The family will receive friends from 6 to 8 p.m. on Thursday, May 31st, 2018 at Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. Arrangements are by Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. Harold Lee Melvin. Harold Lee Melvin, age 67, of Fayetteville, died Saturday, May 26, 2018. The funeral will be Thursday at 2 p.m. The Colvin Funeral Home Chapel. Visitation, Colvin Funeral Home Chapel, Wednesday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Burial at the Greater First Baptist Church Cemetery, Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. Mattie Lou Thomas, age 88, of 2805 Behringer Drive, Fayetteville, died Tuesday, May 22nd. Funeral is Saturday at noon. Chapel viewing at the funeral home, Saturday, 11 to 12 noon. Burial at the Rockfish Memorial Park, Herring Funeral Care and Cremations. Carl, Crazy Carl Jr. Keaton, Fayetteville. Carl, Crazy Carl Jr. Keaton, 58, passed away Tuesday, May 29th at Kitty Askins Hospice Center in Goldsboro. Celebration of his life service will be held at 1 p.m. Saturday, June 2nd at Butler Funeral Home Chapel. The family will receive friends from 11 to 12:45 Saturday at the funeral home prior to the service. Services are entrusted to Butler Funeral Home, 6535 Clinton Road in Stedman. Leo Glenn Frierson, age 65, of Fayetteville, died Sunday, May 27, 2018. The burial will be at Sand Hill State Veterans Cemetery, Wiseman Mortuary. Glenda McGugan, age 54, of 1520 Lacey Street, Fayetteville, died Wednesday, May 23rd. Funeral will be Saturday at 3 p.m. Chapel viewing at the funeral home, Saturday, 2 to 3 p.m. Burial at the Northside Cemetery, Herring Funeral Care and Cremations. And Tommy Jane McCormick, Miss Tommy Jane McCormick, age 98, of 2638 Edmonton Road, Fayetteville, died Saturday, May 26, 2018. The funeral will be Friday at 11 a.m. Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church, Fayetteville, and the viewing at the funeral home Thursday, 5 to 7 p.m. The burial will be at Mount Pellier Presbyterian Church Cemetery, Roland, Herring Funeral Care and Cremations.
And in the region and elsewhere, Mrs. Judy Smith Kinlaw, age 69, of Lumberton, passed away on the 28th of May 2018 at Duke Raleigh Hospital in Raleigh, North Carolina. A time of visitation will be held prior to the service on Saturday, the 2nd of June 2018 from 10 to 11 a.m. at the Floyd Mortuary and Crematory in Lumberton. A funeral service will follow at 11 a.m. in the chapel with the Reverend Joe Bounds officiating. Burial will follow at Meadowbrook Cemetery. The family would like to thank the doctors, thank the nurses, and thank the staff at Duke Raleigh Hospital and Cancer Center for their care and compassion towards Judy Smith Kinlaw. In lieu of flowers, memorials can be made to Duke Cancer Institute, 710 West Main Street, Suite 200, Durham, North Carolina, 27701. Or you may make online condolences by visiting www.floydmortuary.net. Palmer Gehring, age 81, of Winter Haven, Florida, went home to be with the Lord on Saturday, the 19th of May 2018, at Lakeland Regional Health. A memorial service will be held at 2 p.m. Saturday, 2 June 2018 at St. John's Episcopal Church, located at 302 Green Street in Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28301. The family will receive friends after the services. In lieu of flowers, please make memorial donations at the Cumberland Community Foundation to the Kiwanis Club of Cape Fear Scholarship Endowment at www.cumberlandcf.org. Condolences may be sent at www.oakridgefuneralcare.com. Stanley Eugene Ray Jr., age 55, passed away on the 27th of May 2018 at UNC Hospital, located in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. He is survived by his parents, Stanley E. Ray Sr. and Wilma Ammons Ray, and a brother, Jeffrey Ray, and wife, Jenna, and a niece, Marley Ray. A visitation for friends and family will be held from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, the 2nd of June, 2018, at the Adcock Funeral Home in Spring Lake. In lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to Church on the Street, Northwood Temple Ministries, located at 4250 Ramsey Street, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28311. That is, again, in lieu of flowers, you may make a memorial made out to the Church on the Street / Norwood Temple Ministries, located at 4250 Ramsey Street, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28311. Your condolences may be made at Adcock Funeral and Crematory.com. Annie Williams, 75 years old, of Bladenboro, died Tuesday, 29 May 2018. There will be a memorial on Friday at 2 p.m. at the Bladen Gaskins Funeral Home. The Bladen Gaskins Funeral Home has been entrusted with those funeral services. And this concludes all of the obituaries for the last day of May, 31 May 2018.
All right, let's see Billy Graham and his message to us today. God purposely gives us time to mend our ways. From the writings of the Reverend Billy Graham from the Tribune Content Agency. Question: I don't understand why God allows some people to be hostile toward him and treat him like an enemy. Why doesn't God just strike them down, which is what they deserve, instead of letting them get by with it? By Mrs. B. Arra. Answer: if God treated each of us the way we deserve to be treated, would any of us be left? No, of course not, because we have all sinned against him and treated him as if he were our enemy. The Bible bluntly says, all have turned away. There is no one who does good, not even one. It's true, however, that some people hate God and deliberately treat Him like their enemy. They want nothing to do with Him and may not even persecute those who do. Why doesn't God judge them and strike them down? Sometimes He does. And that should be a sober warning to anyone who hates God and thinks they will get by with it. The Bible warns you may be sure that your sin will find you out. But God often delays His judgment, and those who hate Him will eventually realize the error of their ways, repent of their sins, and turn in faith to God. I think, for example, of a man in the Bible called Saul of Tarsus, who hated Christians and was determined to do everything he could do to destroy them. But one day on the road to Damascus, he met Christ. His life was changed, and Saul of Tarsus became Paul the Apostle, devoting the rest of his life to spreading the gospel. Pray for those who want nothing to do with God or with Jesus Christ. And pray too that your life will be a living demonstration to them of Christ's transforming love and truth. Billy Graham, the Tribune Content Agency.
And here we have a grandmother is reluctant to share her title with her boyfriend's mom. Sounds confusing, doesn't it?
It does.
Dear Abby, my granddaughter Emily is merely 13 years old, and I have been very involved with Emily and most of her life. My daughter Ginger is divorced and has had a boyfriend named Greg for about 3 years, but there has been no talk of marriage between Ginger and Greg. Greg's mother has told Emily to call her Grandma. Emily is okay with that, but you know what, Abby? That hurt my feelings. I feel that Greg's mother should realize she is using a title that is not hers. I realize she's trying to make Emily feel like part of their family, but to me this is my title, not hers. She has known Emily for just about 3 years. That's it. And while she's nice to her, I am the one who has been doing grandma duties for the last 12 years, not her. To me, she should be called something special, but not Grandma. How can I cope with all of this? Shouldn't the other grandma have realized she's pushing herself into the position of the real grandma? Signed, Hurt Grandma in California. Dear Hurt Grandma in California, you are taking this way too personal. If Greg's mother wasn't hoping her son would marry your daughter, she would not be embracing Emily the way she has. Your granddaughter does not love this woman more than she does you. Whether Greg's mother should realize she's treading on thin ice is something I cannot conjecture. However, as Abby, I'm sure she didn't do this to annoy you. If you bring this up with her, you will annoy her, which will likely annoy her son and your daughter. So I advise against bringing this up to her. And I'm betting that eventually she will become an official grandmother. However, if that doesn't happen, your problem will be solved, because she will be nothing more than just history. Dear Abby, my husband's horrible sisters have invited themselves to our home in Florida, and they hate me. One's husband sexually assaulted me 5 years ago. When I had her come and get him, he was completely drunk and out of control, and she accused me of making it up. Abby, she saw all of this happen. What's up? The other sister has never invited us over for dinners or special events, and she's extremely obese, and you know, Abby, I'm afraid that she's going to break our furniture if she sits on it. We are in our 70s and we live modestly down here in Florida and cannot afford this selfish intrusion. My husband says, "But they're my sisters." Please help me, dear Abby. Please help me get out of this. Signed, Looking for Peace. And Abby says, "Dear Looking for Peace, I'll try. You and your husband are not joined at the hip. No law says that you must be there when his sisters arrive to your home in Florida. Yes, they are his sisters, so he can visit them in their homes without you." Nuff said. And finally, "Dear Abby, I have a friend whose father recently passed away. Her mother passed away about 8 years ago. Everything was paid for, all funeral arrangements and anything else you can think of, everything was paid for. Now she's wondering what to do with the money she received in the cards people sent her. Have masses? Donate it to charity? Her sibling took some of the cards from her mom's funeral and applied the money towards a vacation. OMG. My friend just wants to do the right thing. So Abby, what is the right thing?" Signed, Wants to do what's right. Dear wants to do what's right. If the money is not needed for expenses, it is the recipient's to do with as she or he wishes. However, a thoughtful and respectful thing to do would be for your friend to donate that money to a charity her father supported or toward research in a cure for the disease that took his life. And thus ends today's saga with Abby. Now, if you would like to write Abby, you can do so by pulling out an envelope and requesting an answer to your question by signing this or writing, "Dear Abby, Post Office Box 69440, Los Angeles, California 90069. Again, mail your question to Abby at Dear Abby, Post Office Box 69440, Los Angeles, California 90069.
Well, it's time for the horoscopes. I'm excited.
Me too.
Let's see what Stella Wilder has to say. Now, if you're born today, you enjoy interacting with other people more than anything else and are very likely to design your personal life and your professional career in such a way as to maximize the social potential of each. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th. You're at the top of the list, Gemmy. You may get more than you bargained for today from someone who is new in your life. You can respond in kind. Cancer, June 21st to July 22nd. Cancer, you receive information today that bolsters your confidence and enables you to finalize plans. Good things are on their way, Cancer. Leo, July 23rd through August 22nd. It's a good day, Leo, to watch closely the things that go on around you, not so much for learning or education, but for the enjoyment of it. Virgo, August 23rd through September 22nd, your native ingenuity solves a problem that someone else has been grappling with for quite some time. You'll be thanked in an unusual way. Libra, September 23rd to October 22nd. Now, Libra, you may be running low on supplies, but your ability to stretch things as far as they can possibly go will serve you and others quite well today. Scorpio, October 23rd through November 21st. Scorpio, you'll receive a dare today that will surely give you pause. Ultimately, you'll find a way to do what needs to be done. Sagittarius, November 22nd through December 21st. Saggy, you'll have the help you need today, but not for as long as you really need it. You will have to complete certain key jobs yourself. Capricorn, December 22nd through January 19th. Cappy, a surprise comes your way today when a message confirms your suspicions about a certain issue. You didn't expect things to be this easy. Aquarius, January 20th through February 18th. Something you've long taken for granted becomes a problem to solve today. But, Sagittarius, you'll want to share ideas openly with teammates. Pisces, February 19th through March 20th. You'll be able to do today what another was incapable of doing. But that doesn't mean you'll win in the end. Aries, March 21st through April 19th. Aries, you enjoy taking in all that is presented to you. And today there will be more than enough of something you particularly like. And Taurus, yay! It's at the end, that's me, April 20th through May 20th. Taurus, as you get closer to someone today, you'll be able to read his or her mind, or at least predict his or her actions with greater accuracy. There you go. There's Wiley's horoscope for today.
And now we have a question that's very interesting. And the question is, what are tonsilliths or tonsil stones? Tonsils are glands that serve as nets to trap bacteria and particles before they are swallowed and wreak havoc on the rest of the body. Your tonsils are part of your immune system. However, what often can happen is too much bacteria, too much dead skin, too much mucus and other matter get caught and build up and calcify. The result? Tonsil stones, medically known to otolaryngologists, ear, nose, and throat physicians as tonsilliths. Some common symptoms of tonsilliths indicate this condition: abnormal and persistent bad breath, sore throat, whitish debris, which means the stones are visible instead of hidden in the folds of the glands, swallowing difficulty, ear pain or discomfort because the tonsil area shares nerve pathways with the ears, and lastly, swelling of tonsils from the hardening and enlarging of the stones and or infection due to the stones. Often, patients already suffering from chronic tonsil inflammation or repetitive bouts of tonsillitis are more susceptible to tonsil stones or tonsilliths. Treatment options include at-home removal with a swab, saltwater gargling to dislodge, antibiotics, surgical removal for large or numerous stones, and to keep the stones at bay, ENT Specialty Care in Goshen, New York guides patients through 5 preventative measures. Use a tongue scraper before bed to eliminate bacteria buildup at the back of the tongue that can make its way into the tonsils. Number 2, brush your teeth and tongue at least twice daily, at a minimum of twice daily. Number 3, combine a tablespoon of salt in a cup of water and gargle a few times daily. Number 4, increase your water intake and stay away from sugary drinks, which can contribute to the development of tonsil stones. And lastly, number 5, quit smoking and limit your alcohol intake, especially if you are already suffering from tonsil stone symptoms, as these can exacerbate your condition, which these 2 things are smoking and alcohol intake. And that's how you take care of your tonsil stones. Now, most of us, I believe, don't have tonsils.
No.
But I read somewhere, might have been about 10 years ago, doctors stopped taking out the tonsils because, again, that was part of your immune system. But if you were sick like I was as a kid, first thing they did was take out your tonsils. Right, Nancy?
That's right.
And what have you got for us?
Well, more about students and guns at school. Pender County, 2 Topsail High School students charged with bringing weapons onto campus Tuesday. Topsail High, as well as Topsail Middle, were under a code red lockdown for 3 hours. Deputies responding to Topsail High found student Bryce. Deputies approached the driver and found him with a .22 caliber semi-automatic rifle in his car. He was 16. Eduardo indicated he heard there was a code red lockdown at the school as responding to attempt to stop the shooter. Sheehan was charged with possession of a weapon on educational property, taken to the Pender County Jail on an $8,000 bond. Boy. 2 other schools, North Topsail Elementary, South Topsail Elementary, were in a code yellow, but were later released from lockdown procedures. Parents were not allowed onto campus to pick up their children until noon, when the lockdown was lifted. Cars queued outside the school Tuesday, backed up onto US 17. Students were allowed to leave early Tuesday with parental permission, according to the district. During a code red lockdown, no one can come on campus or leave the school building. During a code yellow lockdown, movement is limited within the school building. However, parents can come on campus. Stephanie and Sean Johnson of Hampstead sat in their truck on the side of Jenkins Road, waiting to get their daughter, Melissa. The 9th grader had texted her parents to tell them she was okay, but the parents wanted to get her home as soon as possible. My anxiety is through the roof, Stephanie Johnson said. She was interrupted by an automatic call from the North Topsail Elementary School principal, letting parents know the school had gone into code yellow as a precaution, but that the campus was safe. Sean Johnson said he was frustrated that he heard about the school threat from television and his own daughter before he received an alert from the school district. Our kids will be homeschooled next year. We're not doing this again, Sean said. Every 2 to 3 months there's another school shooting. I'm fed up with it. I've had enough. It's too close to home. Susan Bridges, whose daughter attends Topsail High School, said she was pleased with how Pender County Schools communicated with parents regarding the incident. The Sheriff's Department, Pender County, state troopers, they've been very on top of this. And I'm very blessed and thankful that they acted as quickly as they did, she said. Parents have had it.
It sounds like it.
Yep.
It really does. But right now the time is 11:31 in the morning. It's Thursday. It's the 31st of May, 2018, and this is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service. It is a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations, and we request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or call the toll-free number 844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are Clark and
Nancy.
And we are proud to serve you today.
From the local and state, NC budget alterations get initial Senate okay. By Gary Robertson. From Raleigh, the North Carolina budget alterations received initial approval Wednesday from the state Senate. Their GOP authors emphasizing increased education spending and employee pay, but Democrats blasting both pay and the process. On a near party line vote, senators voted 36-14 for a $23.9 billion proposal that adjusts the second year of the two-year state government approved last June. The spending plan started July 1st would be nearly $900 million higher than the current year and benefit from another year of higher than project revenue collections. Year over year, public education spending grows by nearly $700 million. There needs to be one more positive vote by the Senate, 2 by the House before it can go to Democratic Governor Roy Cooper's desk. Second Senate vote, first House vote were expected Thursday. Cooper hasn't said whether he'd veto the plan, but his own budget proposals on key issues were largely ignored. He vetoed the 2-year plan last year, but Republicans quickly overrode him. GOP legislators have emphasized average 6.5% pay raises for teachers, along with hefty raises for principals, state troopers, and correctional officers. And thousands of low-income full-time state employees would see their pay grow to the equivalent of $15 an hour, raising some salaries by close to 30%. This will be a huge raise for them and put them, that we could say, at a living wage, said Harry Brown, an Onslow County Republican. Teacher pay in one form or another would increase for the 5th year in a row if approved.
Whoa.
Good.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It is the time for the Tongue Twister event, brought to you by the People's Pharmacy, as brought to you by Joe and Teresa Graydon. And the question is aspirin better than Xarelto to prevent a second stroke? Strokes are nasty business. When a blood clot lodges in the brain, it leads to the death of neurons. Depending upon where the damage occurs, patients can have difficulty speaking, moving, or balancing. People who have had a stroke due to a clot are more susceptible to another one, and that's why doctors try very hard to prevent repeated blood clots in this highly susceptible population. A new study asks a key question: is aspirin better than Xarelto? And here it comes. There was a clinical test, and there was a lot riding on a clinical trial. The drug company spent a lot of money trying to answer a huge question. Is Xarelto better than aspirin, or is aspirin better than Xarelto? A month's worth of aspirin can cost under $5 a month. Xarelto can run over $500 a month for a month's supply. And one might have guessed that Xarelto would have won such a contest hands down. But at 100 times the price, we could have hoped for a substantially more effective and safer outcome from Xarelto. And there was the big oops. The drug trial had to be stopped early. Such a decision was not made lightly. Not only was a lot of money riding on the outcome, lives were at stake. The outcome would influence prescribing patterns of doctors for years to come. And so, the People's Pharmacy's perspective is it no doubt came as a great shock to the drug company sponsors of this stroke research to learn that their pricey anticoagulant was neither more effective nor safer than aspirin. We would actually answer the question, is aspirin better than Xarelto, in the affirmative. That's because this extremely inexpensive over-the-counter drug, aspirin, was less likely to cause hemorrhages. Although it may not have been more effective than Xarelto at preventing another stroke, It clearly won the race on safety. So what are patients to make of this study? First of all, no one should ever stop taking Xarelto without very careful medical supervision. In one of the Xarelto commercials, the announcer makes it clear, do not stop taking Xarelto without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. There are many health conditions where Xarelto may be an appropriate option. Only the prescribing physician can determine the best course of action, and that said, it is important for doctors to familiarize themselves with this new study. If they are trying to prevent a second blood clot to ward off another stroke, they may wish to consider old-fashioned aspirin as a viable option. The study is in the New England Journal of Medicine, and it will have an important impact on prescribing patterns for years to come. And that concludes our tongue-twisting session of The People's Pharmacy, brought to you by Joe and Teresa Graydon.
That was short today.
It was.
Usually it's longer.
It most certainly is. There weren't that many tongue twisters.
All right, we have Kathleen Parker giving us her article today. She writes for the Washington Post, and she says, of course, I'm jealous of Ivanka Trump because any criticism of another woman has to be jealousy, according to the letters I shall receive. In the following order, I want her wardrobe, hair, makeup, private transportation, height of 5'11", and all of her trademarks in China. Confession accomplished. Let's move on to emoluments, as in the constitutional clause forbidding gifts, titles, or what have you from foreign nations to office holders or appointees within the executive and legislative branches of government. President Trump's elder daughter Ivanka, who happens to be his close advisor on economic empowerment and entrepreneurship, among other things, also has secured 13 new trademarks in China, right about the same time her father discovered a fresh passion for China's economic well-being. That's right, make China great again. No American president has ever said. But recently, Trump was knocked off his golf cart on the road to the 9th hole, and he had a revelation. He must save ZTE. ZTE, as you may know, is a gargantuan Chinese telecommunications equipment and systems company that heretofore had been considered ground zero for crimes against the United States. It has sold products to Iran and North Korea in defiance of U.S. sanctions law. You see the dots. Tariff tensions with China. The off-again, on-again summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. It's complicated. If you're not in the art of the deal business, if you are, this is all part of a Trumpian vision for which we began laying the groundwork in April 2017. You'll recall with appropriate layers of gauziness Trump's most pleasant dinner with Chinese President Xi Jinping at Mar-a-Lago. The two ate dessert while Syria burned, thanks to Tomahawk strikes Trump had just ordered. It must be a special sort of something for a man like Trump to savor what he later called the most beautiful piece of chocolate cake that you ever have seen, and privately relish the knowledge that your missiles are delivering a fiery hell upon a cruel company. Sitting on the other side of Xi were Ivanka and her husband, Jared Kushner, whose young children sang for their guest in Mandarin. Apparently the family dogs and ponies were otherwise occupied. Although Xi gamely said he understood Trump's decision to bomb Syria, given Bashar Assad's gassing of children, one wonders what he later thought about being placed on the stage of Trump's strange little theater. To be clear, Ivanka Trump no longer manages her company, which she placed in a family-run trust while she serves in the White House. But she still enjoys profits, and Ivanka Trump is expanding during what amounts to a worldwide advertising campaign at taxpayer expense. Delayed gratification hardship, though it may be for a Trump, seems hardly a defensible exemption from the emoluments clause, which reads, "No person holding any office of profit or trust under them, United States, shall without the consent of the Congress, except of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever, from any king, prince, or foreign state." An emolument is defined by Merriam-Webster as the returns arising from office or employment, usually in the form of compensation or prerequisites. It seems clear enough. Congress is having none of it. Both Republicans and Democrats have expressed varying degrees of outrage, notably Senator Mark Warner, Democrat, Virginia, and Senator Marco Rubio, Republican, Florida. But others who represent the unshakable Republican base would give Ivanka a fiefdom if that would make her and her daddy happy. Indeed, Ivanka's company has acquired or has trademarks pending in Saudi Arabia, Mexico, India, Israel, Turkey, and the Philippines. Whatever is going on, it doesn't look or smell good. Either you're the president's daughter, confidant and advisor, or you're a businesswoman building an international brand. You can't or shouldn't be both at the same time. Few in Washington ever doubted that Trump's run for president was a joyride to buff his brand and image. When he won, shocking everyone and himself, Trump must have seen his bloodline's branding future. Even he must have been surprised, however, at how easily his people accepting the oligarchy he was creating. As brands go, the United States of Trump was bad. Not bad at all. Kathleen Parker from the Washington Post.
And here we have an interesting lawsuit. It says that a lawsuit, the poor should not lose their licenses over traffic fines. This was written by Martha Wagoner, and she works for the Associated Press. Raleigh. Because he cannot pay the $228 in traffic fines, Setai Johnson faces revocation of his North Carolina driver's license, which means he won't be able to drive to the job that he hopes to get soon. For Shari Smoot, the amount keeping her off the road is $648. In a federal lawsuit filed Wednesday, attorneys for the two say that North Carolina's practice of revoking driver's licenses of people who cannot pay their traffic fine and court cost is unconstitutional because it violates the rights to due process and equal protection under the 14th Amendment. This revocation scheme disproportionately punishes impoverished residents in violation of federal law, taking away crucial means of self-sufficiency and further pushing them into poverty. The motion for a preliminary injunction states, the lawsuit was filed by the American Civil Liberties Union, the Southern Poverty Law Center, and the Southern Coalition for Social Justice. Torrey Jessup, Commissioner of the State Division of Motor Vehicles, is named as the defendant. North Carolina law requires automatic revocation of driver's licenses for non-payment of traffic tickets 40 days after the court judgment. The groups are suing because the law does not require a hearing to make sure that the driver whose license has been revoked can pay the fine and the court costs. The statement by Shari Smoot that owes $648 And Setai Johnson, who owes $228, described a cycle of fines and attempts to catch up on their debts as they try to hold on to their jobs and support their families. Last year, Setai Johnson said he paid more than $700 in traffic fines, court costs, and late fees on previous tickets that he had. His driver's license was reinstated, but he fell behind on rent payments and he had to move in with his mother. But before he paid the $700, he was issued another ticket for not paying those traffic fines. He was convicted in April of a lesser crime, failure to notify the Division of Motor Vehicles of an address change, and sentenced to pay a $100 fine and $208 in court costs. He paid the $100 that day, but was charged an additional $20 for an installment plan and setup fee, even though the bill says the entire amount is due within 40 days. Setai Johnson says he doubts that he will be able to pay the remaining debt within 60 days, which would be 22 May, as he is required to do in order to keep his driver's license. I value taking care of my responsibilities, he writes, but that it is hard to do when I am required to pay hundreds of dollars in fines and court costs, and my driver's license is revoked when I do not have the money to pay those fines. No one should have to live with the burden of their license revoked because they cannot pay off their traffic tickets. Shari Smoot writes that she was making $9 an hour while working at a group home when she was sentenced to pay $308 for driving while her driver's license was revoked in 2016. She was assessed a $50 late fee for not paying within 40 days. She and her 9-year-old daughter moved in with her grandmother in 2017 to save money. Shari Smoot said she stopped attending school part-time at the University of North Carolina in Charlotte because she just could not afford it. In 2017, she was issued another ticket for driving while her license was revoked, and she was ordered to pay $235. That grew into $285 with a $50 late fee. Then she was arrested for not paying the fines and charged a $5 arrest fee. She said her car was repossessed and she lost her job because she did not have transportation to work. I had been forced to make the difficult choice of staying home, losing my job, and not being able to take care of necessities for me, my daughter, and my grandmother, who I also pay or continue to drive illegally and risk more punishment. A spokeswoman for the State Department of Transportation, which oversees the State Division of Motor Vehicles, said Wednesday that officials are reviewing this lawsuit. That's a very interesting article, Nancy.
It is.
Because I'm just wondering why they don't obey the traffic laws. If you obey the traffic laws, you wouldn't have all these fines. I'm a little confused. I wish they had more background to this article, but if they did, that's probably all we would be reading today. The whole background of this little article.
Well, Clark, how do you tell when a dog is sick?
Well, he's got probably I think a sick dog has a dry nose.
Well,
and he's moping around and he doesn't want to go out in the backyard and dig up bones. That's what I would think.
All right, Melissa Erickson from More Content Now tells us how to tell when your dog is sick. Dogs get sick just as humans do, but they can't use words to share what's bothering them. How can you tell if your dog is sick? This is a great topic to educate people on. The art of veterinary medicine is that you kind of have to be a detective, said Dr. Chris Lee, assistant clinical professor in the College of Veterinary Medicine at Auburn University. While a dog can't describe its symptoms, pet owners can be on the lookout for certain signals, said Dr. Michael Shea, adjunct professor of emergency and critical care, University of Florida College of Veterinary Medicine. Dogs are creatures of habit. If they break away from their established patterns, that could signal an illness. If you get a sense that something is off, if your dog is not acting right, listen to your gut and get it checked out, said Dr. Bryce Kibble, clinical assistant professor at the College of Veterinary Medicine at Iowa State University. Main things to take notice of you are your pet's appetite, attitude, and behaviors. Change of pattern. If your dog is lethargic, not eating, or not its bouncy self, something might be wrong, Shea said. For example, if your dog always runs to greet you with a wagging tail when you return home, and then suddenly doesn't, that's a sign of possible illness. It's like living with another human. You probably will have a sense that something is off, Shea said. Any dog can skip a meal for a number of reasons, from just not feeling hungry to an overly busy day, but it's not going to go on 24 hours without eating unless there's an underlying reason, Kibble said. Unexplained, especially quick weight loss, is cause for concern and a trip to the vet, Lee said. Any deviation from normal behavior that doesn't right itself within a day or so may warrant a vet visit. A cough could be the start of a cold, but it could also be a more major development, like an early sign of heart disease, Lee said. Water issues. Dramatic changes in water consumption. Drinking more or less than usual is a red flag. Could signal a variety of illnesses, from diabetes to kidney disease or other infections. One of the best things pet owners can do is get a handle on just how much their pets eat and drink, which can be difficult to gauge. Also, water needs fluctuation depending on weather and what your pet is doing, Kibble said. Inappropriate urination by a dog who has long been housebroken can be a sign of diabetes, Lee said. Looking sick. If your dog is slow to rise, reluctant to move, or its posture is not normal, it may be fighting something. For example, a dog with a slipped disc in his back may feel pain and prefer not to move, Shea said. Rapid breathing and diarrhea or telltale signs of illness, Shea said. Mental health. Some dogs suffer from psychological problems when family members leave, such as for college, in death, or by divorce. Separation can put many pets off their routine. They may want to be with the person who is gone, Shea said. Just like a family member who is grieving a loss, a sad pet deserves some extra attention, maybe a special treat and some moral support, Shea said. The best advice is, find a veterinarian and a vet hospital that you trust and utilize an annual exam, Kibble said. Notice he didn't say go in for shots. A complete medical exam is when a vet looks at a dog's eyes, ears, teeth and throat, feels the joints, listens to the heart, discusses lifestyle, dental health, nutrition, and vaccinations. There you go.
That's a very interesting article. I wonder if they have shrinks for dogs. What do you think?
I think their owners are their shrinks.
Well, the pickup driver in the school bus crash died. Lumberton, the driver of a pickup truck that crashed into a Robeson County school bus last week died Monday, the Highway Patrol said. Samuel Ray Hunt, age 20, of the 2400 block of Odom Road in Lumberton, died at 6:28 p.m. at McLeod Regional Medical Center in Florence, South Carolina, Trooper R.D. Terry said on Wednesday. Samuel Ray Hunt was airlifted to the facility after a 22 May wreck that happened on Mount Zion Church Road near Bullard Road, about a mile north of North Carolina Highway 71, said Trooper R.D. Terry. Samuel Ray Hunt was traveling east on Mount Zion Church Road about 3:20 p.m. when he ran off the right side of the road in a curve. Well, he then overcorrected, came back on the road, crossed the center line, and slammed into the front of a bus in front of bus 305, driven by Corliss Angel McMillan, age 35, of Red Springs. The impact stopped that bus and caused bus 482, which was behind it, to run into the back of that bus, bus 305. The second bus was driven by Vivian Faith Chavis, age 24, of Red Springs. About 50 students from Oxidine Elementary School were on bus 305. 5 students from 3 different schools were on bus 482. McMillan and 1 student on her bus, that is Corliss Angel McMillan, driving bus 305, and 1 student were taken to Scotland Memorial Hospital in Laurenburg with minor injuries. Trooper R.D. Terry said inattention by Hunt, that is Samuel Ray Hunt driving the vehicle, was likely the cause of the wreck, and Chavis, that is Vivian Faith Chavis, age 24, was issued a ticket for failing to reduce speed to avoid an accident. Nancy McCleary wrote this article. If you would like to call her up and talk about it, you can at 910-486-3568. This concludes our reading of the Fayetteville Observer. Your radio hosts today have been Clark and
Nancy.
For our radio listeners, we will now join the Raleigh Network for additional programs. Thank you guys and our YouTube listeners to tuning us in. We've enjoyed being with you, and have a wonderful day today.
Yay.